Hey there, Vikings fans. You are listening to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle West. I am here to talk Vikings football with y'all. That rhymed because I am a poet, and darn it, I know it. Adam Carlson is out this week. He has lots of Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead to cover, but he'll be back. Don't worry, he will be back. But as always, I got Kyle Smith with me. How are you today, sir?
I'm sweating in Texas, but you're right. You are a poet, and I also did know it.
Oh, like vanilla ice, right?
And more the vanilla, but yes,
Yeah.
it's gonna be very vanilla tonight. But we thank you for the people that aren't immediately gonna shut it down. I'll give Adam the credit where it's due. He's the foundation, so the show's gonna be slightly different than what you may be used to. But we're gonna hammer it out, and by God, we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it.
It is going to be a fun show. This is episode number 166. We say it every week, but oh my god, I can't believe we made 166 episodes. We titled this one A Perfect Storm. Can you guess why? Maybe because it had something to do with that rain delay?
I loved it. That's like the only love we got this weekend. We saw Derek Carr make a huge pass on ESPN, which thanks ESPN, the kid was 50% this week. He makes a good pass to his starting star wideout. They show Teddy Bridgewater's touchdown, I think, and then they show the lightning from a distant view, like at the top of one of the TVs. So that was the highlight. Thanks ESPN for the 20 seconds of love you showed the Vikings this weekend. But a perfect storm because I think it got a little bit nuts there. My phone went off and said there's a delay for weather. Just glad everybody was all right, and we ended up staying there so we could win.
Yeah, no doubt. We will force ESPN to cover the Vikings once we get to the regular season, when we start winning and they have no option other than to cover us on a weekly basis. But we have quick hits to get into.
Quick hits.
Quick
Love them.
hits.
Love them. Love them. You can lead
Sporting,
it off, sir.
okay. Sporting News, that's a website I frequent from time to time, did a listing of all the general managers in the NFL. And they decided that Mr. Rick Spielman was the 19th ranked general manager in the NFL. I thought that was an incredibly low ranking. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I would have guessed around middle of the pack. It's kind of like when they rank Teddy in the quarterbacks. You're like, really? Jay Cutler's better than him? But I think, and hear me out, because we can kind of, if this is the last quick hit, we could segue right into the game review against the Raiders. But when you have a pick that you have to go with, like Christian Ponder, and it doesn't pan out, or one that I don't think is going to pan out if things don't turn around real quickly, like Cordarrelle Patterson, there's some good first round picks that you could have done way better on. But you got to think about all the years recently where he double dipped, and you get people like Harrison Smith, and then you get an Xavier Rhodes, people like that, and Sharif Floyd's making a huge turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
I think for that alone, he should be a couple of spots higher, not too much more. I could see him topping around on 15th, but in good old-fashioned national attention, the Vikings don't get as much love as I thought they would. I'm not surprised.
That's okay. I don't put too much stock into lists and all that other stuff. At the end of the day, it's all about the W on the field.
Exactly.
The Minnesota Vikings have purchased 185 acres of land in Eagan, Minnesota. It has not been officially announced, so we don't want to stamp that tag on it just yet, but their current headquarters in Winter Park is old, it's outdated, it doesn't really serve the functions that the team needs, and it kind of makes sense for them to purchase all this property that they're probably going to be building a new headquarters with a practice field out over there in Eden, Minnesota. So that's something to kind of look forward to. We will have more news on that later on down the line.
That'd be pretty sweet, and this is something I hope that they continue on. I want to say, let's say they do this like they did with the new stadium. I hope that if they do something like this, they do progress. I don't know if you guys have checked it out or not. If there's someone out there that listens to the show religiously and they haven't checked out the stadium webcam, I highly, highly recommend it. But I would like for them to do that with this as well. Show us a timeline from scratch because you know they're going to do that when the new stadium opens up next
Mhm.
year.
Oh
But
yeah, it'd be so cool.
185 acres. I mean, this is going to be a Viking shrine, so it could be really cool.
I'm gonna bet. Remember last week when we said that they had extended their stay in Mankato for 3 more years to practice up there? I am going to bet if they're going to spend all this money for this practice field out here, it's going to be an incredibly nice facility, and they're not going to want to move training camp out to Mankato. I am probably going to bet that they're going to start holding their annual training camp up in Eagan, Minnesota. That would be my guess for that one.
Very well could be.
But speculation. Let's move on here. Just a quick little fun one. Y'all probably watched the game last week, so you know this, but I thought it was fun to mention anyway. Adrian Peterson, Ben Lieber was doing the interview with him, and they brought up who would the LeBron James of the NFL be? And so Adrian, of course, said that he would be the LeBron James of the NFL. What do you think on that one, Kyle?
I love it. I actually just started Googling and I wanted to confirm it. I'm on ESPN right now. This isn't the first time AP has confidently said he thinks he's the best. 2 weeks ago, he said, I believe I could go in the Hall of Fame if I didn't play another game today. I agree. Don't know what ballot he would be, but I still think he could. This has happened between him and Chris Johnson. After Chris Johnson thought he was awesome with a 2,000-yard season. That's a great feat, but you did absolutely nothing after that. AP's been dominant since he entered the league. And then we all remember, if you can, I know it was very distinct to me because I got really offended. LaShawn McCoy called himself the best in the league in 2014, and he laughed. He said, I think LaShawn knows he didn't really mean that. I know Jamal Charles, if you watch the top 100 players, he loves AP. He respects the hell out of him, and he gives him so much credit. And I know he's not mad because AP said that, but I'm in agreement. Among the running backs, I don't think he's the best player in the league by any means. But I think as far as running backs go, I absolutely think he's the LeBron of all running backs right now, currently in the NFL.
Oh yeah, the LeBron James of the NFL of any position, probably J.J. Watt, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
him, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you got to look at the positions and the importance. Running backs fading, even though it's not completely dead like everybody wants to say it's going to be. I don't think it's ever going to go away. But I look at the importance of the position, the dominance. But as far as his position goes, I don't care if he sat out last year. I don't care what the polls say. The man is a machine, and we all know that. Hence why he's our favorite player, has been our favorite player for a long, long time, and pretty much was until Teddy got here, the face of the organization. So have fun, Jamal Charles. I think it's the same thing again. I don't think you really mean that if you had to stand next to AP.
And speaking of favorite players, hey, here's one of mine, and this is an awesome quick hit. Randy Moss coming out of retirement? Question mark?
Question mark.
Maybe, hopefully, that would be awesome. I'm going to read a quote here from you. Randy says, I have not lost the itch. I've been working out with a few guys over the off season. I have been retired for the last 2 years, but you never know. It's the love of the game that I still have inside me. End quote. Isn't that great? Don't you? I'm a huge Randy Moss fan. I love hearing that.
I saw a lot of Brett Favre when I read that, but you know what? You can't knock the guy. And the more Randy keeps doing outside of when he hasn't been in the league, even more than I respect him because he was kind of controversial. But the man is a class act, and let's face it, he's even said it to me. He thinks he's the greatest wide receiver ever. He changed the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he absolutely changed. He said that going in to play the Super Bowl with the 49ers. He said, I changed this game, and he knows that. I'm not going to lie to you. I think a team would sign him, and I think, honestly, I think he could actually make an impact somewhere, but I don't know where. We were talking about this before the show. Green Bay's down their number one wide receiver, and so is Carolina.
Oh.
So there's a Wes Welker floating around. There's a Reggie Wayne. There's a Randy Moss apparently might still be able to give something back. One of these teams needs to give him a call. Just saying.
The thought of Randy Moss as a Green Bay Packer is absolutely disgusting. Oh my god, I don't even want to think about that. So any team other than Green Bay, I would be fine with. If he goes to Green Bay, holy shit, will I ever flip out if that happens. But you know what? You're right though. You look at a team like Carolina. Could Cam Newton benefit from having Randy Moss? Even Randy Moss, who's not played in the NFL in 2 years. Yeah, you betcha he could. Do you think Tom Brady would love to have Randy Moss back? Yeah, you damn sure
Yep.
you would. Would I take Randy Moss over the current 84 we have on our team? Yeah, of
Oh,
course
we're
I
gonna get into
would.
that too.
Yeah.
We sure are gonna get into that in a minute. But yeah, I agree. And you know what? I look at it now. You might not be as explosive or as fast, but the knowledge that he could bring, he could still be
Hey,
a productive player. Look at Julius Peppers. That guy is like a time machine. That guy was looking awesome earlier today. I mean, if you have the want to and you can keep yourself in shape, I think you can still contribute in more than just oh, okay, he's here and he got a catch today. I think he could.
let's give some credit to Bill Belichick here in the New England Patriots for just a minute, and then we'll move on to the Raiders game. You remember a couple years back when the season would be going and Belichick would get on the phone and he'd call Junior Seau up, and Junior would would step up and he would play at a high level for the Patriots, and it was awesome. Junior Seau didn't need no training camp, didn't need no practice, didn't need no whatever. If I'm
Practice.
You practice. If I'm a team and let's say we're 2, 3, 4 weeks into the season and you got a receiver who goes down, whatever, man, I step on the phone, I give Randy Moss a call, and I say, "You want to come back? Come back. Come step out. Let's play. Let's go do this." And I think he
Yeah.
could do it. I think he
What,
could.
what do you got to lose?
Yeah. He prolongs himself going into the Hall of Fame. That's pretty much it.
This is very true, but I'll tell you, like, man, that'd be the headline of like the off season. Randy Moss. Let's forget about Deflategate. Let's just bring Randy Moss back.
Yeah.
As long as you know what though, I think at that point too, I think everybody listening would agree. If you're that good and you have that reputation, he's played in a couple Super Bowls, all that good stuff. He has a lot of records within the organization. I'd be trying to get on a good team. I'd be like Ray Lewis and that stuff. I'd be like, we need to
Oh,
go out
yeah.
with a bang because I'm not coming back to play for the Titans. Okay, let's
Yeah.
be real.
The Titans or the Jaguars or the Browns or any of those shit teams. Like, you're coming back and you're going for a ring. If he's coming out, he's going to a team. Shoot, if the Vikings get in the Super Bowl, cut some chump that don't mean nothing on the roster, sign Randy for one game just so we can get him a ring before he retires. Right?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be mad at him too. That's the thing that makes me angry. We have little turds like Percy Harvin who have a ring, who don't
Ugh.
contribute, get hurt all the time. But one of the greats, just couldn't be on the right team at the right time, or they came up just short. Like that's horrible. But let's segue into the Oakland Raider game before we talk about Randy Moss for 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
The Vikings came away this weekend with a win in Minnesota. It was a great game. We had a little weather scare, but overall, first team looked awesome. Teddy had a little rough start, some drop passes here and there, but Teddy came on strong, got his first preseason touchdown of the year to one Charles Johnson, and he has a very good completion percentage in this game. Sean Hill also had a touchdown. We're going to get into that too. If you didn't see that, you need to figure out a way to find out to see it. It was awesome. But I was thoroughly impressed, and there's a trend that's been going on the last 3 games. Our defense, no matter where at and what point and what strain, our defense is holding these teams to a very low amount of points.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the most outstanding factor to me. Teddy's been awesome. He's got a good completion percentage, all that good stuff. Minus Phil Loadholt, we haven't had any terrible injuries. So everything's rolling well, but that's something to keep an eye on as we head into the season, because if we can hold these teams down, we have the firepower to outscore them. So that's my 2 cents. What did you think of the game, sir?
It was actually before the long hour rain delay that we had. And then afterwards, it felt like we had been watching that game for about 4 years by the time we got down to Mike Kafka being quarterback for the team. Uh, there was actually a point when Shaun Hill was in where I thought it was way more entertaining than any preseason football game ought to be. For a very brief moment, I actually kind of forgot that it was a preseason game. It was really quite entertaining during that first quarter. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the defense. Trey Waynes is still a bit of an enigma, but I'm not going to knock him yet. It's too early for that, but I want to see more out of him. I thought Teddy looked really sharp out on the field. He does not look like he has missed a beat from last year and is continuing to improve, which is exactly what we want to see from him. That cross-body throw that he had, that is an incredibly tough throw to do, and he did it accurate and on time. That is some big boy quarterback play from Teddy Bridgewater. I was a little worried that there were so many drops from our wide receivers, from our tight end, and Kyle Rudolph had a very catchable ball that we pay him to catch. He did not do it. If you're going to make the kind of money that you make, do that. Like, Tony Gonzalez, like, that's the kind of catch that he would have made. So you got to do that, Kyle Rudolph.
Oh, good. That's my favorite part of the show so far. Good shout out there.
Yeah. The drops concern me a little bit, and I know it's preseason. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm a little worried that we haven't seen much chemistry from Teddy Bridgewater to Mike Wallace yet.
Yep, I was going to bring that up earlier, but you are absolutely correct. Actually, you know what? I don't want to do it out of order because we like to keep a uniformity here, but that's going to be a segment tonight later on when we close the show out for my bold statement, and it's going to concern with Charles Johnson. Mm-hmm. But you're exactly right. I absolutely want to see just once. Okay, I want to see it a lot, but if we could have at least one, I want to see Mike Wallace burn a corner and just go on the line and just burn him one time. And Teddy, I mean, it could be a diving catch, or he could catch it in stride and just smoke everyone. I don't care. Mm-hmm. But we were so high on this guy 2 years ago, and Miami stole him, and we were like, oh, man, we didn't get Mike Wallace. So we got Greg Jennings. I'd take Greg Jennings back in a heartbeat.
Hey, Greg Jennings is a good possession guy who could make some tough catches. And
I love his moves after the catch. That was my favorite thing about Greg. And I'm telling you straight up, if you're going to pay Mike Wallace all this money, we got to see something. I totally agree.
Let's do our game ball and our donkey really quick, and then we'll get back into the game review. Game ball, I am going to surprise everyone because I've been really hard on this player, but I got to give him credit. I am turning into a bit
Jeff
of
Locke.
Well, hey, you know what? Jeff Locke.
He had a good game too.
Yes, he had an incredibly good game. We need to see more of that continued from him as well. But I am turning into a bit of a Shaun Hill fan. Like, I have some faith in Shaun Hill that he can, if God forbid this doesn't happen, but if something happens to Teddy, I do feel like he can step in and he can perform, and the team will be admirable underneath him. There was actually a point in that game where he took a couple hits, and I said something I never thought I would have said previously. I stood up and went, we got to get Shaun Hill out of this game because he's taking too many hits. I don't want to lose him for the regular season. So there you go. Game ball, Shaun Hill.
I was surprised. I know Adam's going to, he's just going to have this big poop-eating grin on his face when he hears this from you, but that's awesome. And you're right. I was concerned because that was one of the things that I had read about online. And I was like, we have a serviceable, manageable backup. No. But it's good to know that he's fine. God, man, this is going to take a turn for the worse when we do this game ball, or the donkey. But that was a fantastic pick. He was actually in my top three. We always usually have 2 or 3 floating around. But I'm going to tell you, it doesn't get more exciting and get me more fired up than a built Chase Ford tough catch in traffic than that from Shaun Hill. Holy crap. If you guys haven't seen the catch that this kid made, I mean, first of all, the white boys got ups, which is fantastic because I don't think of tight ends as being, unless you're Kyle Rudolph and you're 6'5", and yeah, you're going to be able to jump high. But I think the tight end's a little more athletic, and then they can truck people. I love Chase Ford and Red Ellison after they catch to just kind of house people. But he goes up there, he actually makes the catch. I think it was right to his chest, and then he just takes a hit, a solid hit. Ends up landing on his back, I believe, and you see him laying there like, ouch, and then he just got up. So you guys, if you haven't seen it, go on the Vikings website, check out the full highlights. It's like a minute-long clip. That clip's in there. But Chase Ford with a hell of a catch, and he also led the team in receiving. He had 5 receptions for 19 yards. Not as many yards as one Charles Johnson, which I will talk about in a little bit, but he did bring in a touchdown. And even though he's getting second-team reps, you have all this hype about Michael Pruitt. Oh, no, I don't know if Chase Ford should stay on the team. Well, he's like, let me give you a reason to keep me here. So good for you, Chase Ford. I'm going to do the mirror now. And let's go to the donkey. Another thing you guys might want to look at, I would love everybody's opinion on this. Send us a message or tweet us or write us on the status. Cordarrelle Patterson had an interview after he jacked up a play pretty awfully.
I don't want to talk about it.
His attitude was pretty piss poor, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, it irritated me. And I'm telling you guys right now, and it's nothing you guys don't know, but if this is his make or break year, and with the Adam Thielens and the Jarius Wrights of the world, if this is a bad season for Cordarrelle, he will not make this team, and he will be gone after this year. I didn't like the fact that he had 8 yards on the day, and he only caught 2 balls. And his longest one of those 8 yards was 7. So I could see this with a Bill Musgrave in there, 2 years ago. Well, how are we going to use him? The play card is run, short pass, incomplete. I get it. But you have one of the most elaborate creative minds as an offensive coordinator. He knows how to get people the ball. He needs to sit down. He needs to shut up. He needs to color and do his job. And it just irritates me. I want this kid to succeed so bad, but then when I see that and I hear that, you just got to own up when you make a mistake. This wouldn't come out of Teddy's mouth. If Teddy messed up, this would happen. You got to model yourself. But I'm going to get off my soapbox. I about to say Chase Ford. Cordarrelle Patterson, step up your game, shut up and color, and do your job, please, respectfully. Thank you, sir. Who's your donkey going to, Mr. West?
Someone had to do it. I mean, come on. Obvious choice is obvious for a reason. Blair Walsh, 0 for 3 on field goals. I believe he missed an extra point attempt as well, too. He has not been looking like the Blair Walsh that we know and we love. We love Blair Walsh, and we want him to do so well. But he just hasn't been looking up to par. Now, I don't know what it is. I'm going to guess a little bit here and say that he was just given the big contract extension, and he's probably overthinking it. He's probably trying to be perfect. And I think he's just got to get out there and not overthink it. Just do what you do, and he'll go back to Pro Bowl form. Like, I still have all the faith in the world on Blair Walsh, but if these misses keep happening, I mean, games anymore come down to a field goal. I mean,
we lost a lot of games last year by 3 or less points.
Yeah, you can't have these big misses like that. Shit, look at the Saints game from a few years ago. They beat us by a field goal. Yep. I mean, that can totally swing momentum one way or another. That happens all the time, where, hey, you have a drive, you go clear down the field, you stall, and then you miss a field goal, and then suddenly momentum is on the other team, and then the defense can't get it done. Like, you can't, he's got to be more reliable. I believe they will get this figured out. I'm not enough of a football expert to know what is going on mechanically between the snapper and the holder and the kicker, but I do know that was in part as to why they brought in some competition at the long snapper. I don't know if Jeff Locke needs to get something more done with the holds out there. I don't know. That's Mike Priefer's duties. Get it taken care of. Coach Zimmer looked incredibly pissed off.
That man's gonna have a damn heart attack.
I,
I don't want to get so mad he just getting falls over.
yeah, you can tell, you can just tell he doesn't want anything to do with these special teams guys. And that's not knocking Blair Walsh or Jeff Locke or whoever the long snapper is, but Mike Zimmer has bigger things to worry about than the special teams guys. Don't, like, if he's got to worry about you, that is not good, because I don't care what they just paid Blair Walsh. Zimmer will fire you, and he will bring in someone else, so he doesn't have to worry about it. But, yeah, I'll get off my soapbox now and say that he will get it taken care of, and everything will be fine, and we can relax about Blair Walsh, I hope.
I agree with you, and this is what I would say as a fan, just from the observing standpoint. I think what you're saying is correct. I didn't see his misses this game, but I did notice some of the ones from last year and the first two preseason games. When you notice some Blair misses, it's usually by a little, a fair amount. It's not one of those hairline misses. Blair always seems to just, as soon as it goes up, I'm like, shoot, he's going to miss this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of a focus thing. I don't think so much that it's because of I'm not taking away from what you said, but I don't think it's his intangibles. I don't think it's mechanics. I think, like you said, I think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself, or someone else is getting in his head for this pressure. And if he goes back to making it fun, the kid hit holy crap, 10 or 11 50-yard field goals his rookie year?
Yeah, I don't remember, but
he knows what to do. He's going to work this out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not one of those those Cordarrelle instances where you're like, man, I hope he figures this out. No, I think he'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think he will. I have faith in him. I hope it's not him putting too much pressure on himself, because I mean, I think we would all agree to some aspect, we are all our own worst enemies, and he needs to have confidence, because the stuff that he's done before is fantastic. So I think he'll get it squared away.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, game review. We've already talked a bit about the quarterbacks. You got anything more you want to add about Teddy or Hill or Kafka?
No, I'm actually going to be pretty much a bum this week. I'm still down in Texas for anybody who cares. I know nobody does. I had plans. I was out doing the river walk and the touristy stuff last night, and just enjoying the company of my comrades here. So I didn't get to watch the game. Unfortunately, I had my Vikings app opened, and it was on the entire time, so my phone died. So
hey,
yeah, I was getting updates, man. If I can't watch it, I got to hear about it. But no, I don't really have anything else. I was really happy to see Teddy's completions. I was really happy when I saw the review of Chase Ford making some noise. And like I said, the one thing that I've taken away just from a generic standpoint, if you look at just this preseason alone, the defense has held these teams to very low numbers, and I'm totally okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
So keep on doing that, because if that's what happens, it's going to be fairly easy for the offense to get in there and make some noise.
We were talking about Cordarrelle before, and I've got to make some comments on Cordarrelle Patterson as well too. I believe that Cordarrelle is currently playing himself out of a role on the Minnesota Vikings squad. And I really hate to say that, because he's a guy that everyone wanted to get behind, because I feel like you could see he's so lovable. Yeah, he has all the skills to be an elite wide receiver, and for whatever reason, it's not clicking. And that interception, I mean, he ran the wrong route, and that directly caused Shaun Hill to throw an interception. They even, I don't know if you watch, I watch every press conference, they even asked Zimmer directly about it, and Zimmer, he's never going to throw a player underneath the bus, so he basically declined to comment, but then he came back, and the reporter kind of rephrased the question, and Zimmer said, if I had to bet, I would bet on Shaun Hill throwing the ball in the correct position. And then he smirked a little bit. Basically, read between the lines, Shaun Hill had the right play call. He threw the ball where it was supposed to go, and Cordarrelle just ran the complete not even, I mean, he didn't even run a little bit the wrong way. He flat out ran the wrong direction. Like, he slanted across the field when he should have went to the sidelines on the other side. It was one of the worst. Oh, I caught myself. You should be impressed. One of the worst screw ups I have ever seen on a football field. It reminded me, and this is a, I don't even want to make this comparison, but it reminded me of Troy Williamson from a few years ago
Oh,
when
God.
when Troy just looked absolutely lost and clueless out on the field. I mean, I am worked up over how bad of a screw up that was from Cordarrelle Patterson. That looked like rookie day one training camp, I don't know the playbook kind of mistake. That is not something that you do in year two where you're supposed to know and you're supposed to have put in all this work. No, 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 no. That does not get it done. You are playing yourself out of a role on this team.
I 100% agree. I don't know. I hate to put words in his mouth because he's not here, but I think Adam would, on to some degree, some percentage, say that he agrees the same way. Cordarrelle's a lovable guy, and he's got all the athletic ability in the world, but he kind of reminds me of a Joe Webb, except Joe actually,
Was a
I don't
nice
know,
guy.
he made it a splash in one or two games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, he reminds me. He's just another Joe Webb to me, in my opinion. And I hate saying that because he's got the raw athletic talent, but I don't know if he's ready to do the pro level stuff. He'll find a roster somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if he can handle the complexity of what Norv wants him to do, which really sucks because if he can figure it out, I mean, we can get open space for you in a Norv Turner offense every game,
Mm-hmm.
but he's just, like you said, it's not clicking.
Right now, Cordarrelle Patterson looks like a gadget player at best for the Minnesota Vikings, and that is kind of not what we really wanted from Patterson. I think clearly the receiver that Teddy is the most comfortable with right now, and who is our number one, Charles Johnson is the number one receiver of the Minnesota Vikings right now. Until Mike Wallace proves otherwise on the field, like, this has kind of turned into Charles Johnson's unit. And I'm okay with that because I like Charles Johnson. I like what he does. I did a mock roster and in my first draft of it, and I got us keeping 6 receivers. But if Cordarrelle doesn't impress and it gets to a point where he ain't even active on game days because you got other guys, you got Adam Thielen, you got Stephon Diggs, who are able to contribute on special teams, make some plays when called upon out there in actual game time. Like you said, maybe you got a team like Carolina who is willing to go, we'll give you a second round pick or a second round pick and a third round pick next year, and we'll take Cordarrelle Patterson. Do you do that? I don't know.
Right now, at this point, I would. I mean, I
I'm
hate to say I do him because I think we should give. I think all players need 3 years of evaluation. Some teams are impatient. Some teams, unfortunately, don't have the money or the time to do that. But he did go through 2 coordinators, and maybe it was hard to grasp one year. But he's kind of been at a plateau and a stalemate for about a season now. So
and
I know Zimmer's not going to give him all the time in the world.
I will play the flip side really quick, and then we can move on from Cordarrelle Patterson. In his defense, he looked and probably played the best when he has had Adrian Peterson on the field with him, and obviously we have not seen any of AP in this preseason. So,
Hey, that's a true way. I wouldn't have made that without having to do some serious thinking. So
well, because you go back and you look at for that St. Louis game that we had last year, with Adrian on the field, you were able to manufacture and do a lot of gadgets, a lot of end arounds, a lot of whatever, because teams were focused on Adrian Peterson. When Adrian left, who did we play the next week? Was it New England?
New England was
New
the
England.
second game.
New England keyed in instantly. Without Adrian Peterson, they keyed in instantly on stopping Cordarrelle Patterson. So, you can say that when Adrian gets back on the field, your focus is going to shift to him. Maybe that relieves some of the pressure off from Cordarrelle Patterson. Maybe that allows him to get a little bit of his mojo back by doing some of those gadget plays, those end arounds, and then suddenly he doesn't make the middle mistakes and he's running the wrong routes.
That's a solid point.
Little devil's advocate there for you.
This is why your name is on the podcast, sir.
What?
Solid point.
I try. Sometimes I try. Babatunde Ayagbusi had that horrible penalty. I don't know if you've seen that.
The one penalty we had this game. The one.
Came from the guy who absolutely cannot take a penalty. Zimmer forcibly pulled him out of the lineup on national television with the camera in front of him. I felt so bad for Babatunde, but I'm sorry.
I was trying to listen to that in the car today. They had the clip on Twitter somewhere about it, but like you said, earlier, when you could see the over pissed offness in his face. That's the one part that I saw, because I saw a cool video of Babs the other day on Jimmy Kimmel. If you guys haven't seen it, they actually did a segment with him, and it's the funniest thing in the world. Can Babatunde move it or not? Just showing how big of a Goliath of a man that he is. And he moves very heavy objects on a sled.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, you're absolutely right. Kind of one of those people that are like, you should probably walk on eggshells and, grow eyes in the back of your head because you're fighting for that spot. Even with Phil going down, I still don't know that he would make the roster.
He's not. I don't have him on my mock. I mean, there's absolutely no way. At best, he's practice squad, and that's even. I don't remember what his age is offhand, but he's up there a bit in terms of age for an NFL player, where it's kind of really quick for Babatunde, make or break. And I know he's a great story, I know he's a great guy, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen for him. What do you got defense? Anything you want to cover here on defense?
Nope. I saw the stats coming around that we had 2 picks, which is fantastic. I think we've had a pick in every game, which is pretty sweet. No, I have nothing much to say there. Like I said, I can't justify all the stuff I haven't watched. I'm hoping to catch it on a replay this week, but in true NFL Network fashion, and I'm just bitching here, the only time it comes on is like tonight at 4 a.m., which I will have work tomorrow. And then I check the schedule. From what I remember, it doesn't come back on this week, which is crap. But hey, such is the life of a Vikings fan.
I thought there were some good things on defense, some good and some bad. I didn't like seeing Terence Newman, the veteran, get burned out there on the field. You can tell, bit of an older player, and it kind of ticks me off a little bit that a few years ago they were so willing to cut with Antoine Winfield, who is a legend here in Minnesota, and I feel could have contributed to that defense heartily, and yet they cut him, and I realize Terence Newman was brought in because he's a Zimmer guy and he knows this defense and he's going to teach the younger guys. I understand the circumstances, but seeing him get burnt out there on the field, not something that you want to see from the veteran. On the positive side of things, I thought a lot of our young guys were able to step up and continue to make names for themselves. Every time you want to write off Brian Peters, the dude steps up and he makes a play. He got himself another interception. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of stuff that you want to see from him. Michael Mahdi, just when you were ready to forget about Michael Mahdi and say you can do without him on the roster, dude steps up at the end of the game and he friggin' looked like he shot out of a cannon on that sack that he got. That was one heck of a play from Michael Mahdi.
I'll tell you one more.
Okay.
One more. Sorry, I'll forget. I'm sorry to interrupt. There one more thing. I just wanted to say, Christian Ponder, welcome back. Have a sack. That's one of the things that they ended with the highlights. I saw Christian Ponder be typical Christian Ponder. Gets flustered. The bubble in the pocket starts to move and break down, and he wants to run right up the middle, and here's a defensive tackle to welcome you to the ground. So I don't know who got that sack, but it was awesome. Welcome back to Minnesota, and I see that the Bill Musgrave, Christian Ponder experience is the same movie, just in a different uniform.
Precisely. I wish we could have picked him off, but hey, you got the sack for him. Uh, Marcus Sherrills. Every year, everyone wants to write Marcus Sherrills off as to the reason why he's going to be replaced. This year, it was Trey Waynes. We did this. We said the same thing on this show. Trey Waynes makes Marcus Sherrills expendable. Guess what? Marcus Sherrills continues to go out there and show that he belongs just by his
Yes.
ability to make plays on special teams. When he went out there and he fielded that punt and was able to down it within the friggin' 1 yard line. Talk about winning the field position battle for the team. Holy shit. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you're an ace on special teams, and you can play on defense. You're reliable enough on defense that you're not a liability. Guess what? He's on my mock roster, and he ain't going anywhere. And I like the versatility of Sean Prater. The announcers talked about this on the game. Sean Prater used to play corner, now he plays safety, but depending on the defense, he can be out there as a safety on one play, and then, the next down, he can go out there and he can play a little bit of corner. That's really good versatility. That's going to keep him a roster spot, because you guys know how Mike Zimmer likes to move pieces around and keep defenses thinking. That's the kind of stuff that I like to see, and he's a good player. He will make the team for that versatility.
Woo. Well, I don't know about you. I think I'm going to give a shout out to two other players, and I think I'm good for my.
Yeah, I think I'm
my
a little burnt out on talking.
TJ Clemmings. I wanted to say I didn't hear about any negativity from him having to just be thrust in. Thank you for keeping Teddy protected, and yeah, Jeff Locke had a solid night from what I saw, and I heard him getting bragged on a little bit in some of the after game reviews that I listened to. So just want to give a shout out there. I want to give a shout out to one of my friends. I know I got to do this every week. My buddy Blaine, I used to serve with him at Langley. He texted me when that Chase Ford touchdown happened, and I thought it was really funny, and you guys will appreciate it. He was like, Chase Ford is the best kind of Ford, just to make a funny joke. And when I finally got to see a replay of it, I told him, I was like, built Chase Ford tough. So that's why he got my game ball tonight. But segue, Paul Blart, we're going to Dallas next week, and there's a huge part of me while I'm in San Antonio that wants to drive my happy ass up there and go watch them play.
You should do it. You should do it.
I'm thinking about it because I'm getting paid Friday, and I think I might. But that'll be a different conversation. But we are heading to, what is it, AT&T Stadium, gigantic Thunderdome of football. Be really excited to see, because I guess this is what they call the benchmark right before they arrest all the starters. Dallas is not a team to sleep on. They made some noise in the playoffs. They won their division. And Tony Romo and that offense, minus having a crappier run game, solid offensive line, and their defense only got better from what it was last year with losing their star linebacker and all this stuff. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. You're going to see some Romo to Des Bryant action. I hope Xavier Rhodes breaks it all up. And play Trey Waynes as much as possible. That's all I got. Mm-hmm. What do you have, sir?
I agree with you. I want to see a lot from Trey Waynes. I don't want to see him get burnt. Like, let's see the rookie kind of step out of his shell, look like you belong on the NFL field. I'm not saying be Darrelle Revis. I'm just saying look like you belong out there. Yeah.
But if you want to like Darrelle Revis, that's fine too.
Well, yeah, that'd be fine. I'm okay with that too. Let's see another solid outing from Matt Asiata. I am a Matt Asiata fan. Like, I'm gonna look forward to see what he can do. Otherwise, yeah, I think we'll keep it short for me on that one. Let's have no one get hurt. That's our number one priority. No one gets hurt. And then it'll be fine. From that point on, it'll be fine.
Oh, well, if that's all we got for Dallas, let's jump into Facebook real quick.
Okay.
And we'll do the social media question. We'll give you a preview next week. I'll give us a bold statement, and we'll wrap this bad boy up. Our social media question, which was on our Facebook and Twitter this week, was which Vikings player would be the biggest loss for Minnesota if he would be injured for the entire season? We just saw Phil Lodeholt go down for the season during the Bucs game, but who is the biggest loss to this team and why? And I'm going to pick out some of my favorites. If you don't have it up, I'll just pick mine. But I thought the funniest one goes to good old Tommy Gunn. Harrison Smith. Yeah, as always, it was great. Sarcasm was fantastic. He goes Harrison Smith. Anyone else excited to see the Blanton, Sendejo, Prater rotation? No? Okay, guess not. Very underrated guy, and I forget who I said it to. I think it was you guys. Most underrated and overrated player. Um, I think our most overrated is Mike Wallace as of right now,
Uh-huh.
and I think our most underrated is Harrison Smith. He never gets enough love, and that's all right. I think he'd be a huge loss, especially to the secondary. Secondaries are so key, especially with how airborne the NFL is now. And I will read one more down here at the bottom. Dave Hickey has a great point. Give a shout out to Dave. I would say Teddy, which I think all of us would agree. He needs to stay healthy. If we're going to complete for the playoffs, Sean Hill might could get us to 500, but everyone else would need to step up. The defensive side of the ball, we can't afford to miss Everson Griffin or Xavier Rhodes or Harry the Hitman. All three of those players carry our defense. Solid, solid answer all the way around, and I totally agree. Good point, Dave.
I like this one, Harry Flegel. Other than Teddy B, I would say John Sullivan. I would agree with that. Talk about underrated players. The center, especially as good a one as John Sullivan is.
He's a monster.
Yeah, that's a big, big loss if he was to go down. Lots of people saying Teddy. Last year proved the Vikings can't get far without AP. That's Eric. I think actually, Eric, I agree. I disagree at the same time because I do think that they can running back by committee better pieces around Teddy on the field this year. Like, it would suck without Adrian, but I mean, I feel like they could get it done without him. But I don't want to try that theory out. Like, let's just have a healthy Adrian Peterson and get to the playoffs.
Yeah, we did that experience already. So if we could try it and maybe actually make the postseason, that'd be awesome.
Just not do that again. I'd be fine with that. Next week's social media question. What do you got for us?
We're winging it without Adam this week, so I came up with one that I thought was intriguing, and I really think you guys will like it. I hope it gets your gears turning. Who is the one player this year that you are looking forward to making the roster? Who's the guy that's fighting for a spot that you hope makes the team this year for us? And on the flip side of that, who is the one player from last year that you think might not earn a roster spot? Well, you talked about Cordarrelle Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me personally, I don't think he's got much of a shot not to make it. He's made too many impressive plays, but I'm looking forward to the Diggsy show. Stephon Diggs. I'm absolutely looking forward. He's my most anticipated player, and we have Eric Kendricks to look forward to, mind you. So that's me. But yeah, get your gears turned. Hit us up on the Facebook page because we're going to post that shortly, and let us know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to jump right in so we can end this because I know we've been rambling, but thanks to you awesome listeners, we can ramble for as long as we want now that we're up on iTunes for as long as we like. My bold statement of the week is very simple. It's not a stat. It's not a prediction. It is called Look Out for Charles Johnson. I absolutely believe this season he will be our leading receiver. And I don't know about yardage. Maybe Wallace will get more yardage. I think he has the best chemistry with Teddy. I think he understands this system, this offense, and this coordinator. And now he's starting to understand his quarterback very, very well. And ever since we picked him up, he has done nothing but contribute. And then he started to be a playmaker. And now he's starting to be the guy, kind of, I'm not going to say because I think Kyle Rudolph could be his security blanket and will be, but I think that's Teddy's go-to guy. And I'm all for it. I love his story. I love his personality. And I'm just going to keep it now, and we'll save it for the end of the season, barring an injury. Look out for Charles Johnson because he's going to make some noise this year.
I agree with you. Like I said earlier in the show, right now, until someone takes it away from him, this is kind of his team in terms of wide receivers. And I'm okay with that because I happen to think he's a pretty darn good wide receiver.
I love the stories of those low-round guys, especially ones that float from team to team, and you just know they would love to play the game because that's all he cares about.
Man,
so.
He was on Cleveland Browns practice squad. We picked him up mid-season, guys.
Somebody said that recently. I know I mentioned it on a show or two before, but Cleveland really screwed up. They got Johnny instead of Teddy. They let Norv go. And now we have
Charles Johnson
Charles
took
Johnson
from
off
him.
the practice squad. Like, how do you consecutively screw up that many times in that short amount of period? I don't know, but thanks, Cleveland. Appreciate it. We'll give you some love. But I'm going to fill Adam's duties, and I'm going to say thank you for letting us run this show. I know it's going to be different for some of you because he's not here. He is the backbone. Go check out Adam's work. He's been working hard. That's why he's not here tonight. Undead Walking, he does a lot of work there. He does write for the Viking Age. You can find that on the Fansided app and website. And hit us up on Facebook. If you somehow found us without using our social media outlets, it's facebook.com/purplepeoplepodcast. If you go on Twitter, if you like that better, Mr. West and myself, the hosts tonight, we use the Twitter page a lot. We will definitely respond to pretty much all of you. It's at Purple People Pod. And just giving a shout out to me and Mr. West here. His personal Twitter handler is that Nerdcast, and mine is Purple Scolger. So if you can figure that one out, Kyle West and Kyle Smith there. But God, this is going to be so weird to say without him being here. Do you have anything else?
No, I was going to same thing, is that you should go check Adam out over on undeadwalking.com. Man, if you guys are Walking Dead fans, they are giving away Season 5 on Blu-ray. I mean, come on, you should go checking that out. And Fear the Walking Dead just kicked off tonight. That's why he's not here. He's got all kinds of Fear the Walking Dead stuff and Walking Dead stuff going on, as well as Vikings coverage. He's a busy man, so you should definitely go support Mr. Carlson out there on what he is doing.
Absolutely. We missed him this week. I'm sure he'll be back next week. But thank you guys for listening to just me and Mr. West. Head on over to all our social media sites. Give us a like. Give us a message, a comment, whatever. We will get back with you. That's why we keep doing this. And in the words of one Adam Carlson, stay classy, Minnesota.